Hello everyone. So at this point you should have already watched the video that you see on the screen, Flipping the Classroom Explained, and that should answer the question that you see on the board, what does a flipped classroom look like? So what we're going to focus on today for a mini lesson is what does a flipped classroom look like for me as a teacher, but then also for you as my students. Needed materials for today include the note sheet that you see on the screen, a pencil, earbuds, obviously, and then your thinking cap so that you can be engaging with the video, understanding what the message is that I'm trying to send to you, so that after we're finished here, we can kind of have a conversation about what this is all going to look like in reality and over the next few weeks. So the daily agenda each day is going to look pretty similar. We might start the class out with some reading workshop time, but then ultimately this is what the rest of the day is going to look like. You're going to complete a wish list, which looks like the thing that popped up on the screen there. It's broken down into 3 columns. So over here is the days of the week, and then at the top there's a spot right there where my cursor is to write down the dates for the particular week that we are currently in, whether that's Monday through Friday or Tuesday through Friday or whatever. And then the second column is going to be your wish list. Those are the things, the items that you are writing up for your goal for today in order to try and get complete. So that might be 2 things, it might be 3 things, it might be 5 things. It just depends on how intensive each of those activities kind of is. And then for the last 3 to 5 minutes of class, I'm going to give you some time to do a little reflection and tell me what you got finished today or what you didn't get finished today, and then kind of explain why that was and perhaps where you're going to head tomorrow, or even any questions that you may have for me. Then what you are going to do, as you're working throughout the day, you're going to start with your wish list. Then you're going to begin kind of working on some of those tasks that you wrote down there in that middle column. And as you finish each task, you're going to begin filling in this task completion Google form that is in Google Classroom for you. So as you finish maybe the Leads PowerPoint, or as you finish a different PowerPoint or a different little mini lesson or a video or a hands-on activity that I've assigned for you to do, you're going to fill in this Google Sheet. You're going to tell me which mini lesson you completed or task, and if there are any questions that you have for me. I'm going to look at this worksheet on the left, the wish list, kind of on a daily basis, but I won't necessarily collect those until the end of the week. This task completion form is going to be key for you to make sure you're completing, so I know that you're progressing each day, but then also so that I can see those questions that you may have. And then as long as you write your questions in there, I will meet with you in the first portion of the period to make sure that I answer those questions so that you can continue working and being successful. So again, this wish list on the left, it is important so that when I stop by your desk each day, I can see what you're working on. But ultimately, this document right here is going to tell me what you have finished and how you are progressing. Student expectations in a flipped classroom. 1, stay in your assigned seat. 2, use time wisely and appropriately. 3, work to complete tasks assigned. 4, turn your brain on and think. That is key. You can't watch a video and get to the end of it and have no idea what it is that you've watched. You need to make sure that you're engaged and listening, and if you need to rewind or you need to stop or you need to pause and think, please do that. That way you don't waste time in class. We want to make sure we're using all of that time wisely. And then lastly, you need to make sure that you're wearing only 1 earbud at a time. That way, in case I need to make an announcement to the entire class, or in case I'm calling you over for a conference, I can communicate with you effectively if you only have 1 earbud in. Ultimately, workshop is about you taking control over your learning and making sure you're moving forward in your progress and you're being successful and choosing kind of what you need and when you need it, rather than me standing up front and pretending that all of you are the same individual and you need the same things at the same time. Teacher expectations. I will be monitoring your progress as you go throughout with those 2 sheets that we've already looked at, the wish list and the task completion. I will provide timely feedback to you, try and touch base with you every day, check in with students, like I just mentioned, to answer any questions or clarify any confusion that you may have about activities or mini lessons. And then I'm also going to be checking that completed tasks document, that Google form, on a daily basis, so that if I need to check base or touch base with you the next day, I can do those things. And then anywhere where there may be a signature signing off on that you have completed something, I will also be making sure that I'm doing those. Peer coaches. So here's going to be the piece to flipped classrooms that is going to be key. Peer coaches are coaches who are assigned by the teacher. They are students who have already shown mastery with a concept or with a skill or with an idea. And they've proven to me that they know what it is that they are doing. So then instead of there just being one teacher in the classroom or two teachers, there's going to now be multiple people in the classroom who can help you, which will get you more feedback in a quicker fashion. So if you've mastered a skill, you might be given the title of peer coach, and there will be a location in the classroom where this is posted so that you can visibly see who is a coach, if you are one, or who you can contact if you do need help. Peer coaches are individuals who are patient, they are dependable, they are good listeners, and they ask questions to guide a peer to understanding. They are not belittling of others when somebody comes up to ask them questions. We're not telling others that they are dumb or that they are stupid. We are encouraging them, like it says there, guiding them by asking them questions. We're not giving them answers. That's not being a good teacher. Teachers don't give you answers. They try and guide you in the right direction. And we are also not going to be annoyed with somebody who comes and helps us, because at one point or another, we are all in need of some help. So we want to make sure that we are embracing our peers when they come and ask us for something, and helping them the best that we can. So some frequently asked questions. 1, what happens when I come to class or to workshop unprepared? Well, ultimately, that will be marked down in my tablet and will count against your habits of learning at the end of the marking period, which then, as you know, goes towards those PIP activities that we have. But ultimately, beyond just writing down in my notebook, the first time you come unprepared, you will get a warning. The second time, you will get a warning and there will be a parent contact. The third time, it's kind of 3 strikes, you're out. You're going to get a behavior slip, and there will also be contact home letting parents know that you've come a third time unprepared. The fourth time, there will be a 30-minute lunch detention and parent contact. And then the fifth time, because at that point, what I've done is not helping you to be successful, so we're going to involve some administration and see if we can come up with a plan for helping you to be more successful in a flipped classroom environment. Another question, how will I prove to myself and the teacher that I have watched and comprehended the videos? Flipped Classroom is based on video watching and doing things on your own, so it's really, really, really important that you're proving to yourself and to your teachers that you are comprehending the message that's being sent in the mini lessons and that you're able to put those things to use. So in order to do that, we're going to be using what we're going to call a WISC, which stands for Watch, Summarize, and Question. So first you're going to watch a video, and as you're watching it, you're probably going to have to take some sort of notes, like fill in the blank or do some sort of graphic organizer as you're working through. And then you're going to have to summarize the main message of the story. What did you learn? And then ultimately, you're going to be encouraged to ask any questions that you may have about the lesson, about an example I showed you, about something you want to try. But those are kind of the 3 pieces that you are going to use, and I'm going to monitor to make sure that you're understanding what it is that you are doing before you move on to the next step. So what are you going to do if you get stuck? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to rewatch the video, maybe ask a nearby peer if the video doesn't help. You can look back at your notes that you took. Maybe it's just a matter of rereading what you have. Ultimately, I want you to use any resource that is available to you. Could be the internet, could be a book, could be an article that we used. It might be checking the dictionary if it's a word you don't understand or if it's something you need to spell. Your computer is a perfect resource for that. And then lastly, if none of those other things work, then you can come and ask me your question. But you need to make sure that you've tried all of those other avenues before you come and ask me. That way I'm available to conference with other kids while you are trying to find your resource or your answer. How do I know if I've achieved mastery on a quiz, assessment, or one of the game-based programs that we may be using in class? Well, there's 2 ways. It depends on how you're graded. If there's a percentage that's used, you need to maintain or get at least a 70%. So notice that doesn't say a 69% or a 68%, it's a 70%. And if you don't receive a 70% at least, then you need to go back and redo whatever the work is that you were doing. If there's not a percentage used and it's on a 1, 2, 3, 4 scale, then you need to at least have received a 2, or you're going to need to go back and redo that work. So a 70% and a 2 are the grades that you're kind of aiming to achieve in order to receive mastery on a skill or a mini lesson or an activity. So at this point, I want you to stop, rewind if you need to, and gather any notes that you may have missed as we were going throughout the video, or if there's something you don't quite understand, please go back and complete that. And then what I'd like you to do on the back of your worksheet, on the blank side, you're going to do a summarizer for me. You're going to do a 3, 2, 1. You're going to list 3 characteristics of a flipped classroom that you just learned about. You're going to ask 2 questions that you have about flipped learning so that we can have a discussion when we're finished here. And then you're going to draw 1 picture to illustrate what flipped learning looks like to you. And then at this point, once everyone is finished, we're going to have a discussion, a class discussion today, so that we can move forward tomorrow and begin our flipped classroom for the remainder of the year.